My name is Leah. I'm 27 years old, and until recently, I was living with my parents to save money while building my graphic design career. My sister Amanda just had twins, and everyone adored them, including me. Then my parents gave me an ultimatum that changed everything: become Amanda's free full-time nanny, or watch my rent double overnight. What they never expected was that I'd choose option 3. Before I tell you how my entire family imploded, let me know where you're watching from. Hit subscribe if you've ever had to make a tough choice that broke your heart but saved your soul. I graduated from art school 4 years ago with a degree in graphic design and a mountain of student loan debt. While my classmates moved to trendy downtown apartments with roommates, I made the practical decision to move back in with my parents in the suburbs. The agreement seemed fair enough at first. I'd pay $600 in rent and help with household chores while saving for my own place. This is temporary. I promised myself every morning as I commuted 45 minutes to the small design studio where I'd landed an entry-level position. My boss Diane saw potential in my portfolio when many other companies hadn't even responded to my applications. My parents, Richard and Martha, had always made it obvious that my younger sister Amanda was their favorite. 4 years younger than me, but always treated like she hung the moon. Amanda took a more traditional path than I did. Business degree, corporate job right out of college, married her college sweetheart James by 25, and moved into a beautiful 2-story house in an upscale neighborhood. James came from money and worked at his father's investment firm. Their life looked perfect on social media, and my parents never missed an opportunity to ask why I couldn't be more like my sister. Amanda already has a house and you're still in your childhood bedroom, my mom would say during Sunday dinners, conveniently forgetting that Amanda's house was largely funded by James's family money, not her own accomplishments. Despite the constant comparisons, Amanda and I maintained a decent relationship. Not best friends, but friendly enough. That changed last year when she announced she was pregnant with twins. My parents nearly exploded with joy. My dad started planning the nursery immediately, while my mom began knitting enough baby clothes for quintuplets. 9 months later, Emma and Ethan arrived. 2 perfect screaming bundles that turned everyone's lives upside down, especially Amanda's. Despite the picture-perfect nursery and designer baby clothes, motherhood hit her hard. James continued working 60-hour weeks, leaving Amanda alone with 2 infants most of the time. My parents started spending more and more time at Amanda's house helping with the twins. At first, I didn't mind picking up extra chores around our house when they were gone. On weekends, I'd sometimes join them and help with the babies too. Emma had these curious blue eyes that seemed to take in everything, while Ethan was always moving impossible to keep still, even as a newborn. "You're so good with them," Amanda would say gratefully, handing me a baby while she took her first shower of the day. I enjoyed those moments rocking the twins and singing softly to them. But I also had deadlines, client projects, and a career I was trying to build. My help was meant to be occasional, not a second job. I should have noticed the warning signs. How my parents started scheduling their lives entirely around Amanda's needs. How Amanda would call crying at all hours saying she couldn't handle the twins alone. How James was increasingly absent, claiming work demands kept him at the office until midnight. Looking back, I can see how they were setting the stage, gradually increasing my responsibilities without discussion. But I never imagined what they were planning until that fateful Sunday dinner, when everything changed. "We need to discuss something important," my father announced after dinner, his tone unusually serious. My mother nodded beside him, her lips pressed into a thin line. I put down my dessert fork, immediately worried they were going to raise my rent again. I had been saving diligently for my own apartment and was nearly at my goal amount for a security deposit and first month's rent. "Amanda needs more help with the twins," my mother said, reaching over to pat my sister's hand. Amanda sat across from me, looking exhausted with dark circles under her eyes. "James is up for partner at the firm, which means even longer hours. She can't manage alone." I nodded sympathetically. "That's tough. Maybe you guys could hire a part-time nanny, or James's parents could help more often." They lived only 30 minutes away but were suspiciously absent from childcare duties. The silence that followed should have warned me. My parents exchanged glances, and Amanda stared down at her plate. "Actually," my father continued, clearing his throat, We think you should help Amanda full-time with the twins. I blinked, confused. Full-time? But I have a job. I can't just leave in the middle of the day to babysit. We've discussed it. My mother jumped in. You could work remotely from Amanda's house while watching the twins. I nearly laughed, thinking it was a joke. That's impossible. I can't design while watching two 4-month-old babies. That's not how either jobs work. Family helps family, my father said firmly. Amanda needs you. This is temporary until the twins are a bit older and James's work schedule eases up. So what exactly are you suggesting? I asked, already feeling trapped. My father straightened his shoulders. You have two options. Either you help Amanda 5 days a week with the twins while working your little drawing job, or your rent goes up to $1,200 a month. The room started spinning. $1,200. That would completely destroy my savings plan. At $600, I could save about $800 monthly. At $1,200, I'd barely save anything. That's completely unfair, I protested, looking from one face to another for support. You can't double my rent because I won't quit my job to babysit. It's not babysitting when it's family, my mother said disapprovingly. And your graphic design work isn't exactly a real career, is it? You can do that anytime. Amanda finally spoke up, but not in my defense. Please, Leah, I'm drowning here. James is never home. The twins don't sleep more than 2 hours at a time, and I haven't showered in 3 days. Her voice cracked with genuine distress, which made me feel guilty despite the unfairness of the situation. Why can't you hire actual childcare? You and James have 2 incomes, I pointed out. We're saving for the twins' college funds, Amanda explained, as if that justified expecting free full-time childcare from me. And nobody would care for them like family would. I looked at my parents, hoping for some recognition of how unreasonable this was. What about my career? My clients? My savings plans? My father waved his hand dismissively. You can find another job anytime. Amanda needs you now. The rent increase takes effect next month, so you have a decision to make. That night, I lay in bed staring at my ceiling, tears streaming down my face. I felt completely trapped. I couldn't afford the increased rent without decimating my savings. But becoming Amanda's unpaid nanny meant sacrificing the career I'd worked so hard to build. After calculating and recalculating my finances until midnight, I made a reluctant decision. I would agree to a 2-week trial period of helping Amanda, hoping they would see how impractical their demand was once they witnessed reality. I'll try for 2 weeks, I told my parents the next morning, my voice flat. But I can't promise it will work with my job. They beamed as if I'd agreed to donate a kidney. You're doing the right thing, my mother assured me. Amanda will be so grateful. What I didn't tell them was that I had already started looking at roommate listings online just in case. My first day as Amanda's nanny started at 6 in the morning when she called me in tears because both twins were screaming and refusing their bottles. By the time I arrived at her house, she looked like she might shatter into pieces. Thank God you're here, she said, thrusting Ethan into my arms, while she attempted to feed Emma. I haven't slept more than 2 hours straight in weeks. While I soothed Ethan, I noticed the state of her house. Laundry piled on every surface, dishes stacked in the sink, and the distinct smell of diapers that hadn't made it to the outside trash. This wasn't going to be simple babysitting. This was full household management. By noon, I had barely checked my work email, let alone started on the branding project due in 3 days. Every time I took out my laptop, one of the twins would need something, or Amanda would appear with another task. Could you just fold this laundry while they're napping? She asked, dumping a basket of tiny clothes beside me. And the dishwasher needs emptying. Oh, and I'm going to take a quick shower and maybe a nap. You don't mind, right? Her quick shower and nap lasted 3 hours, during which both twins woke up hungry and cranky. By the time I left at 6, I had accomplished exactly 0 work tasks and had 17 unread emails from clients and my boss. This pattern continued for days. I would arrive early, handle the twins all day, manage the household tasks Amanda neglected, and leave exhausted with no energy to complete my actual work after hours. The quick naps Amanda took when I arrived grew longer, and soon she was scheduling lunch dates with friends while I watched the twins. They're just so much calmer with you, she would say, applying makeup while I changed diapers. You have the magic touch. A week into this arrangement, my boss Diane called me directly instead of emailing. Leah, we need to talk about your performance, she said, her voice concerned but firm. You've missed 2 deadlines this week, and the work you've submitted isn't up to your usual standards. Is everything okay? I wanted to explain the impossible situation I was in, but feared sounding unprofessional. I'm dealing with a family situation, I said vaguely. It's temporary. I understand family comes first sometimes, Diane replied, but we have clients depending on us. If you need time off, we should discuss it formally rather than letting your work suffer. That evening, I tried explaining to my parents that my job was in jeopardy. It's just drawing pictures, my father said dismissively. Amanda is raising the next generation. That's real responsibility. My job isn't just drawing pictures, I protested. I create branding that helps businesses succeed. I have real clients with real expectations. My mother patted my hand condescendingly. Maybe this is a sign you should find a more flexible career, something you can do while helping your sister. As the days passed, the twins grew on me despite the circumstances. Emma would light up when I sang to her, and Ethan had started reaching for my face, fascinated by my earrings. I genuinely loved them, which made the situation even more complicated. But Amanda took advantage of my presence more each day. Her quick errands extended into shopping sprees. She joined a yoga class and signed up for a book club. Meanwhile, I was functioning on minimal sleep, falling behind at work, and watching my career opportunities slip away. James, when he was actually home, barely acknowledged my presence. He would walk past me holding a crying baby without offering to help, heading straight for his home office with a brief nod in my direction. 1 month into this arrangement, Amanda actually had the audacity to buy me a small cake that said "World's Best Auntie" on it. To celebrate your 1 month anniversary as the twins' favorite person, she announced cheerfully. I forced a smile while thinking, this wasn't supposed to be permanent. This was a 2-week trial. But whenever I mentioned scaling back my hours, my parents would immediately threaten the rent increase, effectively silencing any protest. The resentment growing inside me was becoming harder to suppress with each passing day. The breaking point came unexpectedly, though, in retrospect, it was inevitable. Diane called me into a video meeting one Friday afternoon while I was at Amanda's house. I had locked myself in the bathroom to take the call while the twins napped. Leah, I have an opportunity I would normally offer you first given your talent. She began, her expression serious. The Meridian account is looking for a complete rebrand, and it's a major contract. 3 days of intensive collaborative work at their headquarters starting next Wednesday. My heart leapt. Meridian was a well-known tech company, and landing their account would be a significant career boost, the kind of client that could define a portfolio. I want to give you this project, Diane continued. But given your recent availability issues, I need to know if you can fully commit. No interruptions, no missed deadlines. I can do it, I said immediately, already planning how to approach my family. I absolutely want this project. That evening, I called a family meeting feeling confident that they would understand the importance of this opportunity. We gathered in my parents' living room, and I carefully explained about the Meridian account. So I'll need 3 days off from watching the twins next week, I concluded. This could be huge for my career. The silence that followed was deafening. That's not possible, Amanda said finally. I have plans next week. My friend Natalie is visiting from Boston. Can't you reschedule? I asked, trying to keep my voice level. This is important for my career. It's just drawing pictures, Amanda said, echoing our father's dismissive words. My babies need you more than some company needs a new logo. It's not just a logo, I protested. It's a complete branding package, and it could lead to more high-profile clients. I've been working toward opportunities like this for years. My father cleared his throat. We had an agreement, Leah. You help Amanda with the twins, or your rent doubles. But this is just 3 days, I insisted, growing desperate. Maybe this is a sign, my mother interjected, that you should reconsider your career path, something more practical with regular hours. The twins need stability. They're not my children, I said, the words bursting out before I could stop them. I love them, but I have my own life and goals. The room temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. "If that's how you feel," my father said coldly, "perhaps you should start looking for another place to live." I stared at him in shock. "You'd evict me for pursuing my career? We'd evict you for abandoning your sister when she needs you." My mother corrected, her voice sharp. "Family comes first, Leah. Always." Amanda chose that moment to deliver another blow. "Actually, I was going to tell you all tonight. James and I are planning a weekend getaway next month. His parents were supposed to watch the twins, but they canceled, so we'll need you to take them for the entire weekend, Leah." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Not only were they refusing my reasonable request for 3 days to advance my career, but they were planning to saddle me with round-the-clock childcare for an entire weekend. "When were you going to ask me about this?" I questioned Amanda. She looked surprised by the question. "I just assumed you'd do it. You're always here anyway." Something inside me shifted at those words. The casual assumption that my time, my career, my life were all less important than everyone else's convenience. That evening, while retrieving some laundry from my parents' room, I accidentally knocked over some papers on their desk. As I gathered them up, a bank statement caught my eye. Specifically, a withdrawal for exactly $600 with the memo, "Twins play equipment." They were using my rent money to buy things for Amanda's children. Later that night, I overheard a conversation that sealed my decision. I had gone to the kitchen for water when I heard voices from the family room. My parents and Amanda were talking unaware of my presence. "I don't know why Leah's making such a fuss about this work thing," Amanda was saying. "It's not like her job is that important." "She'll get over it," my mother replied. "Besides, we finally sorted out free childcare for you. That's what matters." "I couldn't afford a nanny with James's budget restrictions," Amanda admitted. "Having Leah do it saves us thousands." They all laughed, and my father added, "She should be thanking us. We're giving her purpose." I stood frozen, the truth washing over me like ice water. I wasn't family helping family. I was being exploited. My goals dismissed, my contributions unappreciated. I was just free labor. In that moment, I knew I couldn't stay another day. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind raced with anger, hurt, and the dawning realization that nothing would change as long as I remained in that house. My family had shown their true colors, and no amount of discussion or negotiation would make them see me as a person with valid dreams and ambitions. I pulled out my laptop and began researching apartments with renewed determination. Most were out of my price range, especially with my savings not quite where I needed them to be. But then I remembered Sophie, my college roommate, who had recently posted about needing a new roommate in her downtown apartment. We hadn't been in close contact since graduation, but I sent her a message explaining my situation. To my surprise, she responded almost immediately. "That sounds awful. My roommate just moved out last week. The place is small but in a great location. Rent is $800 per person. When can you come see it?" The next morning, I requested an urgent video call with Diane, my boss. When her concerned face appeared on my screen, I took a deep breath and laid out my situation honestly. "I've been trying to balance full-time childcare for my sister's twins with my work responsibilities, and it's clearly not working," I admitted. "My family has given me an ultimatum that makes continuing this arrangement impossible if I want any sort of career. I expected disappointment or even termination. Instead, Diane's expression softened with understanding. "I suspected something like this was happening," she said. "Look, Leah, you're talented. We don't want to lose you. Would a flexible remote arrangement help? You could come to the office for client meetings and collaborative sessions, but handle solo work from home." Relief washed over me. "That would be amazing. And I still want the Meridian project if it's not too late." "It's yours," she confirmed. "Just be at the planning meeting on Monday." With housing and work arranged, I faced my final obstacle: money. My savings were close, but not quite enough for the security deposit, first month's rent, and moving expenses. After considerable internal debate, I called the one family member who had always treated me fairly: my grandmother. "Grandma Rose, I need advice," I began, and proceeded to explain the situation. She listened without interruption, then sighed heavily. "Your mother was always too indulgent with Amanda," she said bluntly. "How much do you need to get out?" "About $1,500, I admitted. I can pay you back within 3 months with my new remote work arrangement. Consider it an early birthday present, she said firmly. But I expect regular visits. Not because you owe me, but because you're the only grandchild who remembers my birthday without Facebook reminders. With my escape plan solidified, I began preparing mentally and emotionally for departure. I spent a few private moments with Emma and Ethan, knowing I would miss their tiny fingers and new smiles. Despite everything, I loved those babies and knew none of this was their fault. The final confirmation of my decision came during another family dinner where Amanda casually announced plans for a second vacation. James and I are thinking about a week in Cabo next quarter, she mentioned while passing the potatoes. His parents already said no to watching the twins, so we'll need you to take them for the full week, Leah. She didn't ask. She stated it as fact, as if my time belonged to her. My parents nodded approvingly, not even considering that I might refuse. I smiled tightly and said nothing. They had no idea that in less than 24 hours I would be gone. That night, I packed systematically, taking only essentials that would fit in my car: clothes, professional equipment, personal mementos. I wrote a detailed professional letter explaining my decision and boundaries going forward. I didn't want to burn bridges entirely, especially because of the twins, but I needed them to understand the consequences of their actions. As my family slept blissfully unaware of the chaos that would greet them in the morning, I felt an odd mixture of grief and liberation. I was choosing myself, perhaps, for the first time in my life. I left before dawn, the house silent, except for the occasional creak of old floorboards. My car was packed with everything I could fit: clothes, my computer design equipment, and a few cherished mementos. I placed my letter prominently on the kitchen table where they couldn't miss it. The letter was 4 pages long, detailing exactly why I was leaving, how they had made me feel, and what boundaries I would require before considering any future relationship. It was professional, unemotional, and absolutely clear about the exploitation I had experienced. As I drove away from my childhood home in the pale pre-dawn light, tears streamed down my face. Not from regret, but from relief and the release of months of suppressed emotions. Sophie was waiting when I arrived at her apartment building, still in pajamas, but with coffee ready. "Welcome to freedom," she said, helping me carry my first load of belongings. The apartment was small but bright, with a second bedroom that would be mine alone. "It's perfect," I told her, meaning it completely. The space was modest compared to my parents' house, but it was free from manipulation and disrespect. By 9 that morning, my phone exploded with notifications. My mother called 17 times in succession. My father left increasingly angry voicemails. Amanda sent a series of texts ranging from confusion to fury. "How could you abandon us like this? The twins are crying for you. This is so irresponsible and selfish. Mom and Dad are furious." I silenced my phone and focused on unpacking, setting up my workspace, and preparing for Monday's meeting about the Meridian project. Sophie gave me space, understanding that I needed to process the massive life change I'd just initiated. By afternoon, reports from my grandmother revealed the full chaos I'd left behind. Amanda had shown up at my parents' house with the twins, expecting me to be there. When they realized I was truly gone, Amanda had called James in hysterics, forcing him to leave an important meeting. My father had threatened to come drag me home, until my grandmother pointed out that I was a 27-year-old adult who could live wherever I chose. The most satisfying development came 3 days later, when Amanda called James's parents in desperation, only to be told they were too busy to help. James was forced to take emergency family leave, putting his partnership track at risk. Amanda had to cancel her friend's visit, and my parents suddenly found themselves back on full-time grandparent duty. I maintained radio silence for the first week, using the block feature liberally, when the messages became manipulative or abusive. My grandmother acted as occasional intermediary, letting me know when things calmed down enough for rational communication. Meanwhile, I threw myself into the Meridian project, channeling all my complex emotions into creative work. The client loved my concepts, and Diane was thrilled with my renewed focus and energy. The flexible work arrangement proved ideal, allowing me to establish my new home while rebuilding my professional reputation. "You seem different," Diane commented after a particularly successful client presentation 2 weeks after my move. More confident. I am, I replied simply. I chose myself. As predicted, my family cycled through the stages of grief backward, starting with anger, moving to bargaining, and eventually reaching something resembling acceptance. My mother left tearful voicemails about how much they missed me. My father's messages evolved from threats to awkward attempts at reconciliation. Amanda remained entitled longest, repeatedly emphasizing how difficult my absence made her life. I maintained my boundaries, firmly responding only to messages that acknowledged my perspective and respected my decisions. For the twins' sake, I eventually agreed to occasional video calls where I could see them and talk to them, but I made it clear that I would not be providing childcare anytime soon. You can't avoid us forever, my mother said during one stilted phone conversation. We're still your family. Yes, I agreed. But family doesn't exploit family. I'm rebuilding my life on my terms now. The most surprising development came when James finally realized he needed to step up as a father. According to my grandmother, their marriage had nearly collapsed under the strain of Amanda's unrealistic expectations and his absence. They eventually hired a part-time nanny, straining their budget but saving their relationship. As for me, I discovered that freedom had its own challenges. There were nights I questioned my decision, moments I missed the comfort of familiar surroundings. But with every client meeting where my voice was heard, every peaceful evening in my new home, and every morning I woke up with my future in my own hands, I knew I had made the right choice. 6 months after my pre-dawn departure, I sit in my small but sunlit corner of the apartment I share with Sophie, reflecting on how completely my life has transformed. The space is modest compared to my parents' suburban home, but it's truly mine, decorated with artwork I love, and free from the weight of unspoken obligations. My career has flourished in ways I couldn't have imagined. The Meridian project was a success, leading to referrals and new clients. Last month, Diane promoted me to senior designer with a substantial raise, acknowledging my dedication and creativity. Without family interference draining my energy and time, I've been able to pour myself into building the career I always wanted. As for my family, the situation evolved in unexpected ways. Amanda and James hired an experienced nanny, a lovely woman named Teresa, who charges an appropriate professional rate for her services. The expense strained their budget significantly, forcing them to cancel their Cabo vacation and reassess their spending priorities. Childcare is so expensive, Amanda complained during one of our now monthly phone calls. We had to cut back on so many things. I simply nodded, resisting the urge to point out that she had expected me to provide those same services for free while sacrificing my own financial security. My parents have made awkward attempts at reconciliation, sending birthday gifts and suggesting family dinners. I've maintained firm boundaries, agreeing only to occasional brief visits in neutral locations. During our last meeting at a restaurant, my father actually apologized, though, in his roundabout way. We may have been a bit hasty with our expectations, he admitted, studying his menu intently to avoid eye contact. Your career seems to be going well. It wasn't a full acknowledgement of their exploitation, but it was progress. My mother still makes comments about family obligations, but no longer dismisses my work as just drawing pictures. The twins are walking now, their personalities emerging more distinctly with each passing month. Emma remains observant and thoughtful, while Ethan is a whirlwind of energy and curiosity. I visit them once or twice a month, always on my terms, and never as their caretaker. I want to be the aunt who enriches their lives, not the free labor who resents their existence. Sophie has become not just a roommate, but a true friend, introducing me to her social circle and helping me build a support network separate from my family. For the first time, I have friends who respect my boundaries and value my time, a stark contrast to my previous life. I also started seeing a therapist, something my parents always dismissed as unnecessary. Marshall has helped me understand the family dynamics that led to my exploitation, particularly how childhood patterns established me as the responsible one, while Amanda was permitted to avoid consequences. You've broken a generational pattern, she told me during a recent session. That takes tremendous courage. The hardest lesson I've learned is that standing up for yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. For years, I confused being useful with being valued, offering unlimited help in hopes of earning love and respect. Now, I understand that healthy relationships involve mutual support and respect for each person's goals and boundaries. My grandmother visits often proud of my independence, in a way my parents never were. Your grandfather would have approved, she told me last week. He always said you had the strongest spirit of all his grandchildren. As I finished typing a design proposal for a new client, I realized that the peace I feel isn't just about physical distance from my family's demands. It's about the internal permission I've given myself to prioritize my own well-being and ambitions. Sometimes walking away from toxic situations isn't just the best choice. It's the only one that preserves both your relationships and your sanity. Had I stayed, my resentment would have poisoned every interaction until no genuine love remained. What about you? Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with family members who took you for granted? Comment below and share your experience. If my story resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to hear more stories about finding strength in difficult situations. Remember that choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's the foundation of every healthy relationship you'll ever have. Thank you for listening, and may you find the courage to honor your own worth just as I found mine.